How's it going, everyone? It is me, Lone Vault Wanderer, here with another Borderlands 3 discussion video. All this week I'm going to be traveling for work, so I need some discussion videos on my channel, which means I'm not going to be able to do up-to-date news videos, so I really apologize for that. However, I hope you enjoy this particular video, which will be answering the question as to whether Borderlands 3 should have a make-your-own Vault Hunter as a playable character. This is an idea that was brought up by Mr. Matty Plays when we did our Borderlands 3 playable characters video. If you haven't seen that, I'll link it in the description below. It's like a 20-minute video where we discuss which characters we'd like to see return as playable characters in Borderlands and all that kind of stuff. And yes, we do have a bit of a elongated discussion about the idea of having a Vault Hunter which you create from the ground up and have that be your playable character in the next Borderlands game. And after thinking about it for a while, ever since we did that video, and Matty brought up that point, which I thought it was a really interesting point, I really enjoyed it, I think I've come to the conclusion that I wouldn't want a make-your-own Vault Hunter as a playable character in the next nor any Borderlands game from here on out, and here's why. I know that for some video games, and in particular I think the biggest example are RPGs, having a character that you can create from the ground up works really well, right? Where you can decide what the character looks like by sculpting the face, picking the character's gender, giving it a big body, a small body, tall, short, etc. Deciding what skills that character should focus on, what abilities that character should focus on, and just customizing that particular character to the nth degree. There are some games where that just works really, really well. And in particular, it works well with games that have a silent protagonist, because sometimes, and I'll bring Fallout 4 up as a discussion here, sometimes it's hard to kind of reconcile the idea of creating your own character with its own race, its own facial structure, its own body type, etc., yet having someone's voice implanted onto that character, no matter what that character looks like, right? So for certain games that have a silent protagonist, it works pretty well. And also for certain game types like RPGs, because it's role-playing, it works pretty well. You can create your own character and role-play as whoever you want, and that really facilitates replayability. It allows you to play the game again as a different character with a different mindset, etc. So you guys know all that, right? There are games where creating your own playable character, the protagonist, works well. But Borderlands, in my opinion, is a slightly different case because, one, you don't have a silent protagonist in Borderlands, right? You've always had voiced characters that you can play as. So creating your own character and having this kind of voice implanted on it would seem a bit weird. And equally, having a silent protagonist in Borderlands would just be strange, and I'll get to that a little bit later. But Borderlands has always been known for having cool, unique, crazy, funny characters in each of their games, whether it's Borderlands or Borderlands 2. Again, I haven't played the pre-sequel. It's next on my list, mind you. But in either of those games, you had different characters with their own personality, with their own traits, their own skills, their own look and feel to them, that collectively were just a great cast of characters. And I think Borderlands 2 in particular did a great job at that. So does that sit well with the idea of being able to create your own Vault Hunter? Because how would that work, right? I mean, how would you actually, in a Borderlands game, create your own Vault Hunter and still have him or her be someone with personality, still have it be someone with character in alignment with the other characters as we've had them in the Borderlands franchise? Because when you look at past characters in Borderlands, each of their backstory and look and feel to them strongly added towards how they played as a character. So let's take Brick as an example in Borderlands 1. He is the berserker, right? He's a big, bulky guy that loves nothing more than just to come in and clock enemies in the jaw and break their face. That's literally what Brick was, right? And that was his special ability too. His special ability was just going insane into berserk mode and smashing enemies with his fist. That's what he did, and that made sense because he was this big, bulky guy and it added to his persona. Let's go to Borderlands 2, Zero. Zero was this awesome, cool assassin that had this stealth outfit on, had this awesome sword that was kind of Japanese samurai influenced, and he was able to deploy his own holographic decoy and essentially disguise himself or cloak himself from other enemies in the game. And those kinds of skills, those kinds of abilities just worked well with his look and his character and his backstory. And I could use every single Borderlands character pretty much as an example in that regard, where their look and feel and backstory and just who they are as a character lends themselves nicely to how the character plays. But how do you do that properly with a make your own Vault Hunter in a way that's logical and rational? Because let's put it this way, when you make your own Vault Hunter, it's expected that you decide everything about that character. What gender they are, how they look, what clothes they wear, the skills they have, the abilities they have, how they act, how they respond to people, like everything about that character. If it's going to be truly make your own Vault Hunter, you need to be able to custom craft for yourself. But the problem with that is, how are you going to have enough skills and abilities to be able to work nicely with the thousands of combinations of characters that Borderlands players are going to create when they engage in the make your own Vault Hunter system? Like if you decide to create a bulky character, you're going to want it to have skills similar to Brick. You know, he's going to be strong or she's going to be strong with great melee and up close combat, etc. But then let's say you want to have a sniper. So you want to have a skinnier person, proficient with sniper rifles and other long range weapons. In that make your own Vault Hunter section, you're going to have those skills and abilities as well if you want to go as that particular character, in addition to the bulky character, in addition to the generalist or the soldier or the siren. You see what I mean here? There's a lot of complications that come into it when you need to have all of these different skills and abilities available from the get-go. So when you create your own Vault Hunter, you can pick those different skills and abilities that make sense to your character. And to be honest, it's going to be so difficult for Gearbox to have enough skills and abilities and different combinations in the available pool for everyone to be happy when they're creating their own Vault Hunter. It works when it's an RPG or a game where the entire fundamental premise and the system of the game is built up so you can pick exactly what skills you want and what abilities you want and what proficiencies you want with weapons, etc. Like games like Fallout and Skyrim are built from the ground up with that in mind, but Borderlands isn't and has never been built up that way. It's been built up in a way where you have 4 or 5 or 6, whatever it is, predefined characters with their own individual skill trees and special ability that makes sense for their character, that work nicely. And it's simply going to be very hard to do that effectively with a make your own Vault Hunter system. And also as well, I was touching on this before, how do you voice this character? Right? If you're making your own Vault Hunter with their own gender, their own personality, etc., are you going to have just 2 sets of man and female dialogues and voice acting and just implant them onto your character? And how are they going to speak? What jokes are they going to tell? How will they interact with the world? And God forbid, is that problem going to be solved by having a silent protagonist in Borderlands? Like, this is Borderlands, the game where every single character has a personality and talks a lot during the game and makes jokes and interacts with different people differently in the game. Are you going to have a character that just doesn't talk and is mute? That would just be no fun at all to play as. And honestly, I just can't see how it's going to work with Borderlands. So anyways, Wastelanders, I'd love to get your thoughts on this topic in the comments below. What do you think? Did I miss anything? Any considerations that I just didn't bear in mind when doing this discussion video? It was a bit rushed. I do apologize, but I just need to get these videos out before my flight tomorrow morning. 5 AM wake up. It's going to be fun. But anyways, until next time, this has been the Lone Vault Wanderer. Please take care of yourself, and would you kindly keep fighting the good fight.